Our guest this week is someone who has been in the news in the recent weeks. Dr. James Gomez is back in Singapore, briefly taking a break from his teaching duties in Monash University, Melbourne, Australia. James was a candidate in the last general elections, and he was in the thick of the election hustings then. More recently, James led the successful formation of a group called Singaporeans for Democracy, which will focus on key political issues in Singapore. It's nice to have you here on Let's Talk, James.
Oh, it's nice to be here and Let's Talk with a friend, Tilek.
It's been a few years since the elections in 2006. Much happened during those few days of campaigning. What are some of the things that you can remember that struck you most in the last elections?
Well, obviously the main thing is I was in the news over the filing of forms at the elections department. This is something I remember. I think this is something the electorate also remembers. But apart from that, the lesson that I take away from the last election, which you also participated in, was simply that the Singapore electorate is an intelligent electorate, and as a candidate you need to respect that and understand that, because in spite of the difficulties in the media landscape as well as the ruling party trying to water down the issues by distraction, the electorate is still on the pulse. They know what the issues are and they vote intelligently. Now, as long as we understand that as candidates, running in the opposition, we have a fighting chance.
Do you see the coming elections slated to be held by 2012 any different?
The short answer is no, simply because the main election rules have not changed. There are a couple of changes, that is for the overseas voting. I don't see that to be very significant in terms of the impact it makes on the results. But the other one is the impending provisions for letting 9 NC MPs come in. So I think there would be where the buzz be, and we will have to see what kind of impact. I don't think it will make an impact in significant parliamentary terms, but I think it will give enough of a buzz to get parties and the voters a little bit excited this time around.
Given the way that the PAP government runs this country, what is your prognosis for the development of democracy in this country in the medium term, say the next 5 to 10 years?
Actually, I take a very optimistic view about that, because we are talking really mid-term to long-term, simply because of the growth in youth numbers, the ever-fragmenting media landscape, as well as the rise of the internet and the infusion of foreigners. And here we need to take note that Singapore PR are now officially allowed to take part in political activities as participants, both at the Speaker's Corner and also in attending activities of political organizations. So the landscape will continue to fragment and grow bigger. Therefore, the democracy development would be inevitable for Singapore. The question is that we have to keep the pressure on, and that's the challenge for us.
Now, putting on your hat as an expert in the field of communications, what do you think of Mr. Lee Hsien Loong as Prime Minister? Do you think he has a vision of his own for Singapore, or do you see him as his father's son? How does he compare with his predecessor, Mr. Goh Chok Tong?
Well, I mean, that's quite a lot of questions in one, but I will just take a very simple example. As you know, the Singaporeans for Democracy was recently registered, and it was under the Prime Minister's direction that we were gazetted under the Political Donations Act. Now, even though we had applied for registration for nearly 10 months, it took them just half a day to gazette under the orders of the Prime Minister. Now, if the Prime Minister had the communication skills, he could have just picked up the phone and talked to me and it will be all right. So that's so much what I think about communication skills.
Now that the registration of SFD has been approved, what are the next steps?
Well, I think the registration of SFD is a very exciting thing. It gives a legal presence and legitimizes us as part of the political landscape in Singapore. The first steps for us is really to increase membership, and Tilek, you are a founding member and you know this well.
Yes, I do.
And after the membership increase, we will go on a fundraising drive, And we hope to kick off our first activity, which would be the Singapore Human Rights Film Festival later this year.
It seems like in the present political climate of fear in Singapore, organizations like SFD are destined to fail like many before SFD. What makes you think that SFD is going to succeed, and how is it going to be different from other NGOs in Singapore?
Well, I think the difference here with SFD is not so much of the organization as the platform, it's the people. Now, compared to 10 years ago with the example that you raised, it's different now because the group of people who actually founded Singaporeans for Democracy are experienced activists. And that is the kind of people we are seeking to recruit. So I think it's the people who make the organization, and because the people now have experience, the organization will definitely move ahead. And if you want to be part of SFD, join us. Check out www.sfd.sg.
You wrote about the development of the internet in politics in Singapore, and you came to a rather dismal conclusion that what goes on in the cyber world has little impact on the real political world. Tell us what you mean.
Well, essentially, it's what I call the internet politics loop. If you look at the Singapore landscape, initially there was not enough space on the ground in terms of legal options to organize public activities. So when the internet came, quite a lot of this moved online. And it has stayed online for the last 10-15 years. Now what needs to happen now, and there are some movements in the law that can allow it to happen. Now I'm not saying that the law is ideal, there's a lot more to be done, but we need to close the internet politic gap by bringing those activism which is online back to the real world. And this is where SFD comes into place. We want to close the activism gap by bringing the whole internet political process one circle. That is why our slogan at SFD is advocacy, activism, and action.
Now going from there, do you still think that the internet will continue to play an insignificant role in Singapore? Or do you see it developing more muscle to take on the traditional media? And how much of the fight do you think will be on the internet in the next elections?
Right. I think the internet is not a mass media. It is a niche media, so it has a role. It has a role now because the mainstream media is fragmented and readership is going down. So therefore, mainstream media is no longer able to give the full civic experience, let's say in an election. So the electoral experience will be a fragmented one, and here internet plays a role. Now you asked me specifically about the next general election. My dollar is on the Facebook platform. For the next GE, most of the action on the internet will take place in Facebook through its multi-layer networking. And it's going to be information traveling through that circuit. Some of it will spill over into blogs, and maybe some of it would be carried through to the mainstream media. But if you are asking if it was blogs in 2006, in the next elections, it will be Facebook.
I see. Thank you, James. As always, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. Have a good trip back to Melbourne, and we hope to see you soon.
And I will certainly be back soon. Thank you, Tilak. All the best.
Once again, thank you for watching Let's Talk. Watch out for our next episode in the weeks to come.